All right, welcome back, fans of the Boston Boys Sports Podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Eli Horrigan. I am with the beard, Kiefer Bontos, and my man, Steve Fernandez, who is back from his little hiatus. And Stevie, I think I speak for me and the beard when I say it's awesome to have you back, man. The show just isn't the same without all three of us. We still put out great content without you, but man, you always come with the stats. You always come with you're good with the arguments. You're good with everything. So, Stevie, welcome back, man.
No, I appreciate that. It's good to be back, and I appreciate the kind words, boys. It's good to be back here and start talking more sports.
And obviously, the baby face himself, the beard, Kiefer Bontos, hasn't had a baby face since about 1994. But you're looking good, big man. How you feeling today?
Oh, feeling great. Feeling great. We got the whole crew back.
it's a wonderful thing when the three of us can get together. And spoiler alert for you fans out there, we are in the process of setting up our own little studio so the three of us can actually be together when we start this. And we're real excited to start bringing content with the three of us together. We'll have a table in the middle of us so we can't jump across it and strangle each other. And but let's just start with the fact that we are partnered with Jones and for Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on X, on Instagram, on YouTube. They're putting out great content. Today we are, again, football. The season is upon us. We're going to talk a lot of Patriots, but we're also going to give you our fantasy football expert picks, every position, 5 gems, 5 duds, guys to stay away from, 5 studs. Let's jump into the Patriots right away. Stevie, you've been missing for a little bit, so why don't you start us off, man?
Everything I'm seeing is just what I expected. I mean, we're talking I said, 4 wins? 3? I think they're closer to a 0-win team than they are an 8-win team.
Ooh, okay. Hot take. That's why I had the Saints.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll talk about that. But no, it's going to be Brissett. That's my expectation. This offensive line, they still haven't said they have the right 5 guys. They haven't figured out what they're going to do there. Van Pelt's the one that said today that Brissett's still the starter. The receivers they're not doing anything to impress me. It's just, and the defense isn't what everybody thought they were, in my opinion. I've said that last year. I'm saying it again. They're not people are talking top 5, top 10 defense. There's no way. I just think this is going to be so upsetting for a lot of Patriots fans. And I thought about putting up a background behind me that said safe space to try to make everybody more comfortable. But instead, I just put up one that will get them ready for what's coming. Yeah. It's going to be the same. It's all going to be the same. So I went with Mac Jones.
All right. Well, listen, I went with Joe Milton because I am now moving to this. The Joe Milton should start because Jacoby Brissett's been terrible. I mean, for a veteran guy, he's been really bad. Like, bad reads, bad everything. If Drake May is your future, it's fine to slow play him. My take to start him because you picked him at 3 was merely out of annoyance that you would take a guy at 3rd overall. So I've really moved to this take of like, I know what Jacoby Brissett is. He's looked worse than I thought he was. At least Joe Milton might be fun.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. Joe Milton would be fun. And I saw the reads through all the games so far, and Brissett ain't doing it, man. So. Don't kill Drake May. You got a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback. He can take a hit. Let him play.
Yeah, and he's the same age as Jacoby Brissett, right? Aren't they the same age?
He was born 2 weeks before him, I believe. He was there for a long time. Well, speaking of guys for a long time, to get a little off topic, man, at University of Michigan, my guy there is Jack Tuttle, who's a 7th-year senior, as a backup quarterback there. So, I mean, there are older guys in college still than Jacoby Brissett. But anyway, Steve, you said something interesting about the offensive line because they have it. They about a week ago, they said it was kind of set up, and we had talked about it through text messages. And now I guess they say Leighton Robinson has had a really strong camp. Vidarian Lowe goes down with an injury today. They move Okorafor to left tackle. They move Onwenu back to right tackle. And now they're moving Leighton Robinson to right guard. This offensive line's a mess. Steve, you said that you could see them go over this year, and you're not far off. Like, if there's anybody, there's a lot of Pats fans out there who have never seen a bad Patriots team until last year. This is what a lot of fans saw for years. Like, the Patriots are one of the great great franchises because they did it in a small window, not because they're great.
Yep. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And look, going back to the offensive line, it's pretty pathetic when the only person you know that where they're going to play is David Andrews. He's the only person that's locked into a position on the offensive line. And they're talking about like they don't need the right 5 guys. They just need the 5 guys that work best together, which I guess if you think about it deeply enough, it makes sense. But you paid Michael Onwenu, and you don't know what you paid him to do. You don't know if he's going to play guard. You don't know if he's going to play tackle. And you look at I heard the stat the other day, and it's like tackles are obviously paid more than guards.
Yeah.
And if he were playing at tackle, he'd be the 5th highest paid tackle in the league. But if he played at guard, he'd be the 2nd highest paid guard in the league. So it's not crazy to pay for either one, because a lot of people are trying to say, well, if he's a guard, he's going to be too expensive at guard. Not necessarily. He'd be right there. But the fact that you paid him and you don't know where he's going to play because your offensive line is that pathetic, that is scary.
I definitely agree. Kiefer, what are your thoughts on this offensive line situation? Because when Steve says we don't need the best 5 guys, we just need the right 5 guys to work together, to me, they're the same thing. The best 5 guys are the 5 guys that work well together.
Well, that's true, but the problem is that you're going into a zone run offense now, and that's where the problem was for Onwenu. He didn't play in a zone run. He never. I don't think he ever has. So if you look at it, you want guys that are going to fit that run perfectly. That's why they had Wallace starting at left tackle for a little while through camp and all this other stuff going on. But they're rotating so much. How can you even keep it straight at this point on who's going to be the starters? You rotating, like you said, Onwenu went from left tackle to right guard, back to right tackle, back to guard. You're rotating that many people. Man, I just wish Dante Stanecchio would come back and fix this shit. Because goddamn,
I don't even think he could fix them.
No.
I mean, this is a first-year head coach with a first-year offensive coordinator. It's the same. If you don't have sex for 10 years, you're a virgin. If you don't call plays for 10 years, you're a virgin play caller.
Yeah.
We have a zone run scheme in a very pass-heavy league, right? It just seems like it's a mess everywhere. How can you march out your guys every week saying, well, we don't know where you're going to play. You might play and you might not play. These are grown men getting paid to play a game. How is he supposed to prepare? You prepare differently from right tackle to left tackle. You prepare very differently from being a right tackle to a left guard. We're talking footwork's different. Your off the ball foot is different. The way you move, the way, I mean, everything is different. And you're not able to tell these guys, we're coming into the last preseason game. Week 1 is right around the corner. And you're telling these guys, your best offensive lineman, who is Mike Onwenu, we don't know where you're going to play, but you are going to play.
Well, but my thing with the whole thing is that you have Stevenson over here saying he loves the new zone run scheme and he loves this and that. How can you love something if you don't know who your fucking offensive line is?
Or your quarterback.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Well, you know why he likes it is because basically he's the only guy who knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of 3rd and 8 running back draw, halfback draws.
No, I wouldn't doubt that either.
You
A
know,
lot of Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I mean, so.
But the backfield to Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. He likes the system because it fits him. He's got a running back likes a run first system. Big shock right there, you know. But like you said, if you don't know who your offensive line is and who you're running behind, we got big problems.
Definitely do.
It's going to show.
Another thing I want to talk about, Steve, and before I actually jump into it, because you were off a little bit, we didn't get your bottom half of the league power rankings, and we're not going to go through every single one, but I had the Patriots at 29. Kiefer, I believe you had them at 31, correct?
31.
Steve, where did you have them?
I had them at 32.
Ooh, bottom. I
do. And it's a lot to do with everything that we just mentioned. I mean, comparing them to the Carolinas, some people would mention Denver. going down the list and giving grades or giving a check mark to which side has more potential at the position, I just see Carolina having more positives, even in the coaching aspect.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like you joking about in a pass heavy league, you're going with this zone run. It's the same thing with you have a head coach who was never a coordinator, never mind called plays in the NFL, and that's your new head coach, and he's on the defensive side, which is not what the NFL is all about. I just think there's so many things that are going against them that I think, like I said, they're close to a 0-win team for me, and they're the only team that I think I could say that about.
So I had, believe it or not, I had the Saints. I said, welcome back to the League of the Aints, because I think the Saints were my last team. And I just think the Saints are really bad too. I think they're a mess everywhere, including at quarterback. I know they have Carr, but I think Carr's I think the stat I had was more like 60% of his seasons, he's thrown over 10 interceptions. Like, he's just a turnover machine. They're bad everywhere too, with the exception of, wide receiver where they have Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara is getting older. Let me ask you both raw reaction, because Steve, you said you see them Carolina line it up and Carolina has more check marks. Do either of you believe Bryce Young can be a good quarterback? I'll start with Kiefer.
In the right system.
So no.
Perfect.
So in Carolina, do you think he could be the guy there?
I think he can. And I'm going off of being the nerd me and playing Madden, and I reference it a lot because I play it, but going into year 4 and 5, the dude is a Pro Bowler, and he actually, in almost every franchise that I've ever done, and I play on all Madden, he's made it to the Super Bowl by year 6.
Okay.
So, and Madden can predict stuff. We've seen it happen, but if you get the right system and the right players around him, I think he can be good. Yes, he's small. He's not the biggest guy, but we've seen small guys in the NFL do great things. So I don't think that he is a total bust at this point yet, because he's still got time to learn.
Steve, what about you? Do you think Bryce Young, do you think he's an NFL quarterback? Do you think he'd be a starter in this league? Do you think he's a difference maker?
I do. I think his last season, his rookie season, wasn't as terrible as people make it out to be, considering the team he played on, considering how bad they were. I mean, he wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. I think what is going to go against him heavily is CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I think that's always going to hurt him being compared.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, the size obviously hurts him, and it could hurt him. But I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he could be a very good quarterback. The same way Kiefer said it, in the right system, the right situation, the right people around him. I think he could absolutely succeed.
I mean, look at Tua, though. Tua got put in that system in Miami and then gets all those added pieces. I didn't think Tua was going to be anything in the NFL. I'm not even going to lie to you guys.
Yeah.
But,
Same.
He's there.
He got paid.
Well, I'm not going to talk about Tua. I'll talk about him later. But we'll make it a three-peat, because I think Bryce Young has all the talent in the world to be good, and I agree. And I think they did the right thing. They went and got a Xavier Legette. Adam Thielen's there, he's just a reliable receiver. I do think he can be a good quarterback if Carolina puts the pieces around him. And I'll save my Tua thoughts for later, because when we get into fantasy football, that may come up. Spoiler. All right, so May versus Milton versus Brissett versus Zappy. Who's gone?
Zappy's gone.
Yeah, same.
Okay, that seems like a easy question. I don't know. It's one of the easier cuts, right? I mean, he's gone. Does he find another team?
Yes, he does.
There's a lot of bad quarterbacks out there. I think absolutely he gets a chance.
He's going Minnesota.
Yeah. Minnesota.
Yeah, right.
Minnesota would not be a bad pick, actually. All right, so Steve, me and Kiefer did this.
Go
ahead.
Derek Carr. Minnesota called about Derek Carr, asking if they wanted to potentially trade him.
Minnesota loves turnovers, so that's actually smart.
Well, wait, let me do. I will say this about Carr, though. The one thing I'll say, and this is why I'd have New Orleans above the Patriots. at least you know Carr can steal a game. He's going to have a game where he has 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. He does it once or twice a year. So, I mean, that's the reason I would say that they have a chance to win maybe a game or two more.
I mean, it's fair. I think the Patriots are really bad. And I actually think, and I said this on the last podcast, I know you watched, Stevie. I think when they traded Judon, and you were on the forefront of this. I mean, we're talking back to the Super Bowl. You were saying move them. Them trading Judon, they're a bad team. There's no way around it. He was one of the better players on their team. They completely punted on the season because they don't want him to steal a game. They don't want the 3-sack performance where he disrupts it and the defense can score a touchdown or two based on a good Matt Judon game. This is them punting and saying he's a good player in the first half of a season. We don't want to win by accident.
Yep, I agree 100%. And I think I love the trade. I can't believe they got a third.
Yeah,
I was thinking a 5th or a 6th is what, conditional maybe. But no, he was absolutely in my list of people in the New England Patriots. And Ramondre Stevenson could have been there, but he's not going to be there because of the injury and stuff like that. Last year was tough. But Judon and Peppers for me were head-to-head for best player on the team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, moving him, love the move. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
And love the return. And, yeah, that's a complete punt. You're 100% correct.
Yeah. All right. So me and Kiefer, we did this in the last round. Like I said, I know you watched it, but you couldn't be there on it. But I wanted to know, the wide receiver room is interesting to both of us, because if I'm going to assume that Bourne is on the pup list to start the season. So that puts them out with, it's 4 games now, right? They shortened it from 8 to 4
games.
So if they carry 6, who are they carrying? Who's cut? They got Baker, Polk, Douglas, Rieger, Osborne, Thornton, Booty, Bourne, Landers, and Wallace right now. Oh, is it not Wallace? Is it Willis?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Or it might be Wallace, Wallis.
Yeah.
But who are the 5 or 6 you see on this team when all's said and done and Bourne comes back?
So Baker and Polk are a guarantee.
Yeah.
Douglas is a guarantee. Where it gets tough for me is seeing Booty and what he's done.
Yeah.
He's looked good. He's one of the few that I think has looked good. Yeah, absolutely. I hate to say this, but I think Tyquan Thornton's going to make the roster. Yeah. And I hate to say it. But again, it's the same situation we've heard the last 2 years, right? He's the only guy that can stretch the field. He's the only guy that can get over the top. He's the speed guy.
Pays for him specifically to stretch the field in the playbook.
Yep. So I think that's just going to happen. And then the other one I think is Osborne, because they made a move for him. They picked him up. That was kind of a big thing that, it was one of the guys they got for it. So I think that's almost a guarantee just because of the signing.
So Rieger gone, essentially, as he's not making the team.
I think so. I do. And I hate to say that. I mean, I'm not a huge Rieger fan, but it's the Thornton thing. Tyquan Thornton, I can't stand, but I believe he's going to make the team.
Well, I don't know if you're right or wrong. Obviously, I think I kept Rieger. I think they keep Osborne again, like you said, because they went out and got him. It's a bad look if you sign a guy and then cut him, because it tells you tell other free agents potentially, like, just because we give you a deal doesn't mean you're staying and getting paid. And why would they want to come to that situation?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. So, Stevie, you had said something interesting you wanted to talk about in the text message chain. Something about Drake May being a bust.
Yeah, I think why not? Why not get ahead of it? So I couldn't stand him in the draft. I couldn't stand him being drafted. Watching him play, I don't like what I saw. Yeah, so why not?
So you're on the early. I won't say we just because we've never seen him play a regular season down. So I don't hate how he looks. He hasn't flashed at all, but he's also had this. Today was another practice without any turnovers. We had Jacoby Brissett. What's that?
2-minute drill.
What's that?
His 2-minute drill at the end of practice, he threw a pick.
Oh, did he? Okay, so I didn't realize that. So prior to that, it was another practice with no turnovers. The only problem is they say he's not making big plays either in practice. He has a big arm, but he's looked better than Brissett.
That's a for sure thing.
Yeah.
Brissett's still slated to be the number one, which is fine. I've come off of starting May because you got to protect your investment, but I do think it's interesting that you don't like him at all and you're ready to call him a bust. Because I don't know about you, Kiefer. I don't think he's looked that bad.
I didn't think he looked too bad either, and I said that the last podcast is that he shows that he's willing to learn. He shows that he's willing to play. He looks better than Brissett at this point. Anybody looks better than him. Good locker room guy. Not going to doubt him on that. Good guy to teach somebody something, but to have him start a whole NFL season, no, I'm all set with that.
Yeah, I like that's why I've moved on to the Milton thing because I know what Brissett is. I can say it a million times, and it's just I know what he is, and he's not even that right now. Like he just looks sloppy, and I don't really entirely blame Brissett. He's got an offensive line that can't block. I mean, he's just they've set him up for failure. He's the epitome of what an interim like quarterback is.
Yeah, no, I agree. To the Drake May stuff and how he's looked, none of that really impresses me, to be honest with you. I mean, you're practicing against the same defense. You're doing the same thing day in and day out at camp. Like any of those numbers that come out of there or anything like that. In that Brissett pick in the last preseason game in the red zone was horrific. I mean, that's just a mistake you can't make. Like Brissett hasn't looked good by any stretch of imagination. But I don't know. I just have this feeling from watching tape and watching this kid that there's just I said it one day and I don't completely believe this is the case, but I think I called him a right-handed Tim Tebow.
You did.
And it's because of his delivery when he throws to the right. He has something in his delivery that is elongated and it's a full wind up and it looks terrible. And it's just everybody, you can see it when he throws to the right. There's so many little things that if fixed, I'm sure he can be fine. But a fine quarterback in the situation he's been thrown into is a complete failure. You can't have somebody fine succeed under this situation with this offensive line, these skill position players, this coaching staff, an offensive coordinator who hasn't called a play in over 20 years. Like, there's so many things going against this kid. So if he's only fine in a project, under those circumstances, there's nothing he can do but fail.
So I know what you're saying, know where you're coming from, but them sitting him and letting him learn for a season, I think is setting him up. Like, I don't know what they see because nobody pays me to do this. Nobody pays any of us to talk, and we don't have any inside information. We go with gut instinct. So I don't know why they didn't go out and make more moves in free agency. I don't know if they think the next free agency class is going to be good. What they do know is if they do sit him for a whole season and they want him to learn, and this is a bust of a season, maybe they're trying to get better picks and get better pieces around and build an actual team. I don't know that it's true. Maybe they're just this big of a mess. Maybe Elliott Wolf's an idiot and he's just a craft guy, and Mayo's just a craft guy, and it's just friends of friends who are like, let's get, like Bill Belichick would just hire anybody. Maybe it's that, and it's still dysfunction. I hope it's not that.
Tank for 2 years and get Arch Manning.
Yeah, Arch Manning. Well, there's a kid, I think. Are you an Arch Manning guy, Steve? That's what I want to
know. No, I laughed because I was listening to the radio early. I was taking a ride down to Mass, and somebody called into, I think it was 98.5, and said, you know what? With the number one pick next year, they should just pick Carson Beck.
Oh, God.
And being a Georgia guy, I didn't hate the idea, but I'm like, how incredible. I mean, it would almost be like a Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray situation. I mean, the Cardinals gave up real quick on Rosen, obviously. But imagine something like that.
I mean, it's happened before. Steve, since you're my quarterback guy who I go to, because I think you break down film and you watch film and you do it well, I do want you to go on 24/7 Sports. Michigan Wolverines, they have a true freshman this year. Jaden Davis is his name. He's a quarterback, a little undersized at 6'1", but they have his high school reel, and I watched it, and I really watched it. I tried to observe through your eyes because I'm a Michigan guy anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at their recruits and I think he looks good for a kid who's 18. I think he's got a strong arm. I want you to look at it so you can maybe break it down for me, because I thought he looked good. I thought he made some poor throws trying to fit the ball in, but I think for an 18-year-old kid, that doesn't bug me too much. But it looked like, throwing against his body at times, rolling out and throwing across his body, looked like he had a pretty strong arm. I want to know if the future of Michigan's in good hands, maybe the future of the Patriots.
I like it. I'll definitely take a look. I love watching that stuff.
I saw a way too early mock draft today, and I know this isn't going to happen, but maybe for us it will. I saw Shadori Saunders going number 1 in the draft, but guess who I saw New England pick at 2? Travis Hunter, the quarterback wide receiver from Dublin. I would get that kid
I
on
do too.
Boys.
The problem is, what does he play? Because we don't need another cornerback. You hope he can play wide receiver. It'd be effective.
Have you ever watched that kid play in both positions? He is fantastic.
He is, but it's the NFL, and I don't want him playing both sides of the ball. That's just double the chance he gets hurt.
No, hold on. But I'm saying, as a watching him play wide receiver, he could play wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I hope that's what they do. You pick him and you tell him you're a wide receiver now. Forget cornerback, forget defense. We don't need you playing both sides of the ball.
No. When I saw that, I was like, I would take Travis Hunter in a heartbeat with the number 2 pick.
Yeah. I love Travis Hunter. I think he's a really, really good player. We'll do a way too early draft for the next show. That would be fun to see. What do you guys have anything else on the Patriots? You want to jump into fantasy football? What do you think?
I'm good for fantasy. The Patriots we're going to see what they do this season, boys, and it's not going to be very pretty. So,
yeah, Stevie's pegged them at 0. I'm 3 or 4. I mean, maybe at home they get lucky. They have some bad games, but yeah, they're not winning more than 4 games. I can tell you that much.
No, I agree.
Kiefer, what do you think for wins? 3, 4? How many?
I had them at 3-4, but like I said to you the last podcast, I just hope that they take 2 from the Jets, no matter what, because it's the Jets. So
perfect. Well, then let's segue right into fantasy football, because that time of the year there's drafts coming up. Kiefer, I know you've already done one. We have a couple. We're all in 2 leagues together, and we have one of them coming up Sunday morning. So,
and Sunday night.
Sunday night. So
yeah.
We have quite a lot to talk about. So, in essence, we're giving away some of our own strategy here. But you good folks out there who listen, Steve's not giving away his.
I'm gonna
lie.
All right, so we broke this down into our top players at each position, some must-have players, the do not draft list, and some late-round gems. So why don't we start with our top players at each position? Let's start at quarterback. I went 5 deep. Start with you, Stevie. Who's the top quarterbacks that you believe in fantasy football? We're not saying last year, no stats involved, just who's going to be the top 5 this year.
So I got Josh Allen number 1.
Got it.
So I went Jalen Hurts number 2.
Oh my God, yeah. Right.
Yep. I got Patrick Mahomes number 3. He's got to be there somewhere. And then for me, it goes Lamar, and then Joe Burrow.
We have a starkly different top.
I like it.
Beard, you want me to go? Or you want to take the reins?
I can take the reins.
All right. So my tops, I have Lamar as 1. Lamar's the first guy I'm going to get when quarterbacks are available. If he's there, dual threat. He can run. He'll run maybe for 1,000 yards. He'll pass for another 2,500 to 3,000. He's the dynamic dual threat. My number 2.
Wait a minute, Kiefer. Just now, obviously, he's lying. If he's going Lamar number 1, he's not telling the truth either.
Not number 1 overall, but he's my top quarterback.
No, I know.
You don't have to, but and I know where you're going with this, you savvy little son of a bitch. I'm not, there's no week 20 in fantasy football. I don't have to worry about playoff Lamar.
It's true.
My number 2, CJ Stroud, another dynamic guy. He does everything. My number 3 is Tua Tagovailoa. My number 4 is Pat Mahomes. And at number 5, I have Caleb Williams. I think they have set that kid up for such success. And I am a prisoner of the moment. I buy in every year to a player on Hard Knocks. I bought into Caleb Williams hard, man.
Wow.
That's a crazy top 5 right there.
This is the top 5s.
I think we had one in common.
Pat Mahomes. Yeah. Pat and Lamar, but in different order.
Yeah.
All right, Beard, who do you got?
So I actually put Mahomes at 1, and you guys saw I drafted him in the second round. I got him in the second round because I was picking 12 in that draft. But the depth that he added and all the speed that he had, that I could see him throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
Okay.
And still running for 5 touchdowns. So give or take, I got Hurts at 2 just from everything I've heard about camp. And I'm praying to God the interceptions go down, because if the interceptions go down, like they said, he didn't throw a pick all camp. The entire training camp. I
like
showed
280
you, it was
passes.
like 283 passes without an interception. That's insane. And that's also playing other teams in camp too that you were going joint practices with. So I went Hurts 2. I went Allen 3. And we all know why I like Josh Allen. He carries that team anyway. I went Lamar Jackson 4 and Joe Burrow 5.
All good picks. Yeah, all good picks. I think I went a little off the rails, but that's fine. These are our picks. All right, running backs. Give me your RB 1 through 5. Steve, we'll just do the same order.
All right, running back's tough. I don't like running back this year. Okay. So I got Bijan Robinson at 1.
Okay.
Yeah. I got Breece Hall at 2.
Come on.
Wow.
Christian McCaffrey at 3. I got a little surprise. Do I go with it? I don't know. Hang on. Because I had a surprise at 4. No. All right. I'm going to stick with it. No, I'm going to stick with it. It's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's
beautiful. He's going to – yep, age isn't doing anything to him. And then at 5 is somebody I really like this year. And he could have been higher, but I'm going to keep him where he is because it's a change. But Saquon Barkley. I like him in Philly.
I'm shocked considering both you guys were high on the 49ers and I was low on the 49ers because I have Christian McCaffrey at number 1. If he's healthy.
It's the healthy thing. That's why. Why.
If he's healthy, and he's been healthy for 2 straight years, which is why I said, and I hope I'm wrong, the third eye is telling me, like, don't bite because it's going to – I don't want a number 1 pick anywhere because I'm forced to pick McCaffrey, and I don't want – every year I pick a running back and they get hurt, so I apologize to any running backs that I picked this year in my draft because I picked Chubb and Eckler last year in multiple leagues. So Christian McCaffrey's my 1. My number 2 is Saquon Barkley. I think what a monster year he's going to have behind that Eagles offensive line. 3, I have Jonathan Taylor. 4, Joe Mixon in that Houston offense. I think it's going to be opened up in prime. And number 5 is my dark horse, Rachaad White. He does everything. He does everything in Tampa. He runs hard. He rushed for over 1,000 last year, and he catches out of the backfield. That's just a guy who has monster potential.
I
like it.
That's not a bad thing. I wouldn't have thought White at all going in the top 5 for running backs, but that's not a bad pick.
All right. Who do you got, Beard, for us?
Oh, I got CMC at number 1, of course.
Yeah.
I put Saquon Barkley at 2, and strictly because you're going to Philadelphia that is so stacked everywhere, and he catches balls at the backfield. So I'm looking at like a 1,500-yard season, like 500 yards receiving. So I got him. I got Derrick Henry at 3 because, like I told you, Eli.
Yeah.
And you have obviously heard the podcast. He's the ageless wonder, and he's a freak.
Yeah.
And that dude comes to play football. And with that line and that team, I think he's going to have a good one. I went Bijan Robinson at 4. And then I got a little sneaky one at 5 because I could have went Brees Hall or Taylor. I went Travis Etienne.
I love ATN.
Love
I'm a
ATN.
huge fan.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that they're going to use him out the backfield a lot, whether it's running and passing the ball. So I went him just because of those reasons.
Yeah. And one thing, like you were saying, Derrick Henry, believe it or not, there's a lot of people who call me the white Derrick Henry, body type wise. Almost similar. I have a few more ounces of fat on me than him. So why don't we jump into wide receivers here? Stevie, wide receivers, who's your top 5 this year? And then I assume all 5 will probably go first round.
Probably, yeah. So I got CeeDee Lamb number 1. And it obviously hinges on whether or not this whole situation, the contract situation, gets worked out. But if he's on the field, for me, he's number 1. Number 2 is Justin Jefferson for me. I don't care quarterback situation. For me, it doesn't matter with him. He is that guy. I think he's the best receiver in football. I just think CeeDee Lamb, the quarterback situation works out a little bit better for him. So I'll give him the nod. At 3, I get Jamar Chase. And he's another one, especially with Burrow coming back. Love him. Love the situation. And I think he's just that guy. I don't think a quarterback is going to matter with him no matter what. At 4, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's just a stud. He's an absolute stud. And I like Jared Goff with him. I like the situation there. I like everything that they have going on in Detroit. And then at 5, I left somebody out, and you guys are going to love it. But at 5, I have A.J. Brown.
Wow, you left out Tyreek Hill.
I did.
Wow.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, he's somebody I would never draft for my own personal reasons. So I leave him off my listing on there.
Well, I mean, I give you credit for not putting him on there because of that. However, he's my number 1. The guy, all he does is score fantasy football points and then other things. But his extracurricular activities are not likable. But as far as fantasy football wise, all he does is rack up yards. The guy's probably going to come close to sniffing 2,000 yards again. CD
if healthy.
Yeah, if healthy. CeeDee Lamb's my 2 for everything Steve said. The dude is a physical specimen. 3 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've been an Amon-Ra St. Brown guy when he played at USC. I wanted the Patriots to take him. He only dropped because of knee injuries, but he was an absolute beast at USC, and he's still a beast now in Detroit. My number 4 was A.J. Brown, and number 5, I left off Justin Jefferson because I do think he's the best wide receiver in the game. I just hate that situation. Minnesota, everything's gone wrong in Minnesota, and he missed 7 games last year due to like his hamstring issues. So at 5, I had Jamar Chase.
Okay. You guys can say Justin Jefferson, but 10 games last year, he had 1,000 yards with no quarterback play. Just saying.
He's that dude.
He's that dude. I went Tyreek Hill 1, and I said it last podcast. He's going to hit 2,000 yards this year.
He wants to.
He wants to. I have a feeling he's gonna. And I don't. And that's just how I feel. Justin Jefferson at 2, because of all the reasons I just said right there is the quarterback play don't scare me when that player is just that good. It's like watching, and obviously he's not Randy Moss, but it's like watching Randy Moss play with horrible quarterbacks and still producing no matter what. I had CeeDee Lamb at 3, and contract stuff, everything going on down there. If he gets traded, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 4, and then I was torn between 2 players, and after me and Eli were talking the other night on the podcast, go Garrett Wilson at 5.
Yeah, wow. It's not a
he
bad
was my
pick
6 if we're going 6.
Yeah, so it was him and Chase at 5 and 6, but I put him put him there because I really think last year he was so amped to play with Aaron Rodgers and didn't. And this year he now has him. If bearing injury, I think you could see a really, really good year from him.
That's a really good pick. So we all left. I mean, it's tough. You're going to leave someone off that list. And For me, I know Justin Jefferson is. I really just hate Sam Darnold, honestly. If you can't get him the ball, he won't be effective. I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. But listen, someone had to be left off all our lists because none of those picks are wrong.
Right.
Let's move into the tight ends. Top 5 tight ends. Stevie.
All right. I still have Kelsey at 1, and it has everything to do with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, for me, it's really that simple. 2, I got Sam Laporta. Love him. Again, I love that Detroit situation. I love everything that's going on there with Goff and everything else. 3, again, as long as he's healthy, again, I mean, we say this all the time in football, but Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
I mean, just situation is great, and he's unbelievable. He is such an absolute stud. At 4, I put Kittle, and again, it's situation-based, and especially if Ayuk holds out a little bit, I mean, there's going to be more to feed. And then at 5, I am a huge fan of Kyle Pitts. And he's such a freak athlete. And I think it's going to click with Kirk Cousins. He has, and I've heard this on TV, looking at different fantasy things and listening to, just random stuff. He has one of the biggest quarterback upgrades in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
What he went from to Kirk Cousins. So I think that could absolutely benefit him. And he could end up being the number 1 tight end in football.
Yeah.
Don't disagree.
Yeah. So my tight ends, we kind of have all the same guys. I have one a little different. I have Laporta at 1. I think he's just a specimen. I have Evan Engram at 2. Evan Engram had over 100 yards receiving last year, and I think it happens again. I think, obviously, Lawrence likes him. So the guy caught a ton of balls last year. 3 of Mark Andrews, same thing Steve said. If he's healthy, he's beautiful. Number 4 of Travis Kelce. He's slowing down a bit, but he's still the best tight end in football. Pat Mahomes loves him. And you saw what he can be when he's engaged in the playoffs. He was absolutely filthy in the playoffs. And my number 5, Kyle Pitts, and everything he said.
So I again, like you, Eli, I got Laporta at 1. I think that kid is going to be the best tight end in the NFL for the next 10 years. He's what you see from Gronk to Kelsey, even Kittle in the beginning stages of his career. You just see something good in him. I was torn in tight end. Tight end's really hard for me because I could pick a lot of them, but I went Kelsey at 2 just because you got Pat Mahomes still quarterback, and that's his favorite target. He got all that speed, but he's going to use him as a safety valve and a touchdown machine. So you got Kelsey there. I went Evan Ingram at 3, and specifically because Lawrence is going to throw him the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just how it is. And then I got Kyle at 4 because I'm hoping big things with Kirk Cousins. And then I got a little surprise one. I picked I think it's like I want to say, I'm gonna butcher it. Dalton Kincaid from Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen's gonna throw him the ball this year, especially losing Diggs. I think you're gonna see
Davis.
And David. I think you're gonna see a lot of him, and I see something happening with them too that you could see possibly, a Mahomes, Kelsey, or just a good clicking duo right there. What you can see.
Well, I'm just going to say this before we keep moving. Am I the only one who thinks Buffalo's having a down year this year?
we were talking about this. We didn't say. I said they were winning the division. I didn't say they were not going to have a down year because I didn't pick them to win the Super Bowl.
So I actually have them winning more games than they won last year, but being the 7th seed, only because I think they do a lot of trash in their schedule. So I see a lot of wins. How do you lose your top 2 targets? And Josh Allen's a turnover machine. I just don't see it getting better. I think McDermott's part of the problem. I think that team regresses.
Because Josh Allen carries that team on his back in games.
He will.
He does, but remember, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that'll tell you he was nothing until he got Diggs.
Nothing.
Yeah.
He just lost Diggs and he lost Davis.
He lost Diggs, Davis, and Brian Daboll
as coordinator.
He lost Brian Daboll, then he lost Diggs and Gabe Davis. I mean, this guy, it's. I just think they're having a down year this year. It doesn't mean they're bad. I think they're still making the playoffs. I just think this is a year you could see them out in the first round of the playoffs. And I think McDermott gets fired.
Okay.
I think so too, and I think Belichick is there's a chance that he gets the phone call. The only reason I agree with Kiefer, I think Josh Allen can carry a team. He does carry a team, and I think with James Cook, I think James Cook is one of those sleepers that we might get to as a running back. I love James Cook, and I like Shakir at the wide receiver. So I think he's still got a little bit there, but I think Josh Allen carries that team to 10 wins.
Oh, easily.
Well, then I'm going to save us all the trouble here, and we're going to skip defense and kicker because, Steve, we've been in fantasy football leagues. I interchange my defense every week based on who they're playing, and I will continue that method. It's gone well for me in my fantasy football career. So let's go right to our must-have play. Oh,
you don't want to do that in our league, buddy. You're set up to fail. Defense scores high in my league, buddy.
You'll see.
Just be prepared. I'm telling you. They say.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I played in a league like that once, and I won the championship. Last game of going into the finals, I ended up dropping my defense and just picking up Philly randomly, and Philly got me like 36 points to get me the win. I needed like 29,
All
and
you
Philly
have,
got me the win.
whoever's playing the Patriots, pick that defense. Whoever's playing the Saints, pick that defense. That's been my methodology with defense for years. Whoever's playing some bum team who turns the ball over a ton, just play that defense.
Yep, I do the same.
There's enough bad teams in the NFL that you can week to week just say, oh, the Patriots are playing the Jets this week, pick up the Jets. Or the Patriots are playing the Dolphins this week, pick up the Dolphins. They're going to stink, the Patriots. Believe me, they're going to make defenses look really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go to our must-have players. And I don't know how you guys did it. I did it with guys that I didn't think were going to go in the first round because those guys were all must-have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know how you guys did it. We'll all do it our own separate way. I have 4 guys, but Stevie, we'll just stay strong with you.
So quarterback-wise, are you doing a position, like 4 per position? Or how did you do
I
it?
have a quarterback, I have a wide receiver, I have a tight end, and I have a running back. I just have one of each.
Okay, perfect. So quarterback-wise, I love Jordan Love.
I love Jordan Love too.
Not somebody you're going to have to get early, like you said. Not first round, not second round. You're looking a little bit later. And I think he is just set up to be an absolute stud. Running back, I already mentioned it. It's James Cook. I like James Cook in that offense. I think they're going to figure out a little different, what they're going to do with the offense to try to take a little bit off Josh Allen. So that's one there. Somebody that's getting underdrafted from what I was looking at is Cooper Kupp. I like how he looked when he came back.
Really?
I do. I really do.
No. I like Cooper Kupp. I heard you say undrafted.
No, underdrafted.
Oh, underdrafted. Oh, I was
yeah.
like,
I think
everybody's picking Puka over him.
Yep. And then I'll go with the tight end. I'll go with my boy, and I love him. I think he's going to be an absolute stud, Brock Bowers.
Georgia boy.
That's it.
All right, well, I'll go right down the list then, too. My quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa. Not the best quarterback in the league. He's not even a top 5 guy. Mike McDaniels, offensive genius. Since McDaniels got to Miami, Tua's thrown for 8,100 yards compared to 4,600 yards in the 2 years prior to him coming there. He has 10 more games, obviously, under McDaniels. He led the league in passing yards in 2023, top 10 in attempts, top 5 in yards per game and touchdowns. It's a guy who, if he's there and he'll be there late, you pick him up. He is a fantasy football scoring machine. And he's also got the fastest weapons out there. He can dump it to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devin Achane. He's got Beckham now, Raheem Mostert. He's got a fast team they can just dump the ball to, and they'll get him a ton of yards. My running back is Zamir White. He's no longer in the shadow of Josh Jacobs. He'll shoulder the load as the clear number 1. He only had 4 starts last year, and he had 451 yards on the ground and 100 yards receiving. And Steve, I do this. This is you'll love. I did some math here. I'm not going to bore you with the equation, but it breaks down to his 4.3 yards per carry. If you gave him a full-time back and I divided and added with the top 5 rushers in the league, it comes out to about 70 yards a game, 1,100 yards, and about 6 touchdowns. So it's not bad for a guy who's going to go in the later rounds. My wide receiver is Marvin Harrison Jr., who's probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick. He's a must-have rookie, I think. Kyler Murray's first 3 seasons, he almost hit the 4,000-yard mark. And he had he had his slumps in the past years, but when he was having those good seasons, his weapons were Larry Fitzgerald was his number one. Then it was DeAndre Hopkins, and that was Christian Kirk, believe it or not. Marvin Harrison in college, 28 touchdowns in 25 games in his last 2 seasons, 2,474 yards in the same time frame. Bona fide stud, get him in the second or third round. And my tight end is Kyle Pitts. And I know he was in our top fives, but he's finally has an NFL caliber quarterback, like you said, Kiefer. His play style is similar to Aaron Hernandez. And despite him being an awful human being and a murderer, he was a matchup nightmare for defenses. Both guys are Florida guys. Pitts can be the same. He'll go anywhere from the 7th or 10th tight end being taken. Don't miss him. Rookie season, 110 targets and 1,000 yards. He's going to do that again.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you one question, though, and I've seen this come up a lot. So you have Marvin Harrison Jr. sitting there, right?
Yeah.
If he's sitting there and Devontae Adams is sitting there, who do you take?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'm not sure.
Devontae Adams is a stud. He's not happy in Las Vegas. And Gardner Minshew, I sent that funny TikTok, and I like that Gardner Minshew's getting an actual shot, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a better season.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
All right, Kiefer, give us your breakdown.
We got Brock Purdy at quarterback.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Okay. You
Contract
guys, you guys take 31 touchdowns last year, 4,200 yards passing, and he plays in one of the best offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
With Kyle Shanahan as your head coach.
And it's not playoffs. You don't have to worry about him failing in the Super Bowl.
Regular season all here.
Not going to shat himself.
Yeah.
So I went Brock Purdy. My running back is a little different than everybody. I'm going Zach Moss.
Okay.
Now, he's in Cincinnati, and he's going to carry the load in Cincinnati for the most part, besides that kid, Courtney Brown. That's going to be the second running back. But I think Zach Moss, after showing what he did in Indy last year, you could see something happen this year with him. Wide receiver, Jameson Williams from Detroit. I love him. He's fast as lightning. And, yes, he had troubles coming into the NFL, and he had some stuff going on, but I think that Detroit area is perfect for him. And then tight end, I went same with Steve. I went Brock Bowers. I think that he's going to have a monster year as his first year as a tight end.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's move on to the do not draft list. I got the 4. Stevie, you got your 4. I don't have a quarterback in this one only because there's a lot of good quarterback. You're only going to take 2, and so that means 20 quarterbacks are going. But whatever you guys have, go for it.
I laugh at that, and the only reason I laugh at that is because my quarterback that I have listed is Tua.
Really?
I wouldn't touch him. I'm still concerned about the concussions. I'm still concerned about him getting hurt. He got paid. I'm concerned about him just kind of lacking off because of it. Like, I don't like Tua right now. I need him to show me he can do it for another season. He got paid for 1 season. Yeah. I need to see him do it again, and I need to see. So Tua is my quarterback not to touch. I have running back Najee Harris.
Yeah.
I just think there's too much of a push there, and that quarterback situation is just so scary. Wide receiver, somebody that's getting drafted a lot, Stephon Diggs. I think him personally, and on top of that, I think he's going to get lost with Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Like, there's just so much there. I think he's going to get lost. He hasn't been there. CJ Stroud feels comfortable with everybody else around him, so I think that's going to hurt him. And the other one, and I hate to say it because I really like this, I want to see the quarterback succeed, but it's Terry McLaurin. The Jaden Daniels situation in Washington, to me, is the other team that you can talk about as being terrible. So I think Scary Terry, that concerns me.
It's funny because you had one of my guys too on my do not draft list. I have James Cook. 1,100 yards last year, only 2 touchdowns out of them. I think the Bills are going to regress, and rookie running back Ray Davis, he's ranked among the best day 3 picks in the NFL for rookies. Bills like him a lot, so I think that takes away from James Cook. I have 2 wide receivers. I have Mike Williams for the Jets. He's never played a full season. He averages 44.1 receptions a year. He'll fall to your team and you'll draft him out of value, but he's never healthy, and you'll just eventually drop him anyway for somebody who's even worse. I also have Justin Jefferson, believe it or not. Now, I say that as if you have a top 5 pick, don't touch him. If you're drafting at 9 and he's still there, you have to take him. He's that good. He was hampered with a hamstring injury for 2 months last year. Ultimately, it's the quarterback situation. I hate Sam Darnold, and I've made that pretty clear. And my tight end is Cole Kmet. His best season was last year with 73 receptions and 6 touchdowns, 719 yards. Chicago did everything to surround Caleb Williams with talent. Not only that, they added 2 tight ends in Mercedes Lewis and Gerald Everett. So he's going to have a down year. There's too much. There's only one ball, too many mouths to feed. He's going to have a down year.
Okay. I went quarterback first. Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Wow.
You yeah, and I'm saying that, and I'm only saying that you got to preview what he could. Sorry, get hurt. He's in a really bad. I mean, I'm not an Indy fan by any stretch of the means, but I don't think they're going to do much this year anyway. So everybody has to rank top 10 without seeing a thing that the guy can do, really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go for him at all in the top 10. I mean, maybe if you're going the last rounds and you see him go up there, but he'll be gone way before that. I got Kenneth Walker from Seattle, the running back, and Seattle's awful. Just awful. I don't think he's going to come to what he could do. He regressed last year a little bit. He only played 15 games 2 seasons in a row, so that's who I would choose for running back. Wide receiver, I'm a little scary on saying this, but I'm saying DK Metcalf.
Seattle Hawk.
Yeah, right.
I don't even think he wants to play in Seattle. I don't, and I don't think he cares to do anything specifically. Yeah, next year he's a free agent. I could see him going somewhere and becoming a full stud and doing something good with someone he actually wants to play with. But until that, I don't see that. And then tight end, I wasn't really picking anybody, but I'm going to go into Njoku because playing in Cleveland and I don't know. I think that he's not going to turn out the way he should have been. He could be a good tight end in the NFL, and he still can. It's just what he's shown me, not shown me enough to draft him as a tight end in the NFL.
All good picks, and we're going to move on to our last topic, and it's late round gems, and we are coming up on that 1 hour mark, and also my phone is about to die. So we're going to power right through these late gems, and if I die in the process, I'll let you guys finish her off. So late round gems, Stevie, who do you got?
I love DeAndre Swift. Another Georgia guy, absolutely huge fan. I think even though the team is going to be terrible, I like the idea of Tony Pollard. Yeah. And it's again, something silly. I mean, exactly. It's not really a late pick, but it's somebody that I think he's just going to do stuff this year. I think he's going to have a better quarterback situation, even though the quarterback situation is terrible, if that makes any sense. But it's George Pickens. I just think the talent outweighs everything else. I think he'll have an opportunity. And then tight end wise, I was kind of looking around, and I hate to say it, but I think Mike Gesicki in Cincinnati, I know, but I think they can take advantage because there's actually receivers there that can take the attention off of him, that can roll coverage away from him. And I think he has the ability. I mean, the guy can only run straight. He can't go anywhere else. Yeah. But I think he has an opportunity to do a little bit more like he did in Miami than he did. He would be a bye week replacement. It's not like you would pick him to be a number 1 tight end. But I think just situation-wise, obviously, he was horrible here. But everything was horrible here.
Yeah.
I think it's just, and he loves it there. I mean, he talks it, oh, this is the best situation I've ever played and all this other nonsense. So I think, like I said, it's a late, like we were talking about sleeper, but he could get 7-8 touchdowns in that offense.
Yeah. So my late round gems, I'm going to power right through them in case I get cut off. Quarterback, I have Caleb Williams. No secret. I love Caleb Williams. He'll be a later round quarterback anyway and a guy on your bye week, but he might turn into a starter. He's going to hit 4,000 yards this year, so Chicago can rejoice. My running back, again, like Steve went Georgia, I went Michigan. Blake Corum. The guy's a north-south runner. Kyron Williams has only played in 50% of the games that he's been in the NFL. So Blake Corum's a good replacement guy if you get Kyron Williams. I have 2 wide receivers. My first one, Kiefer, you've already mentioned him once, Jamison Williams. I think it's a big year for him. Opposite of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Love that offense. And, dude, if he can be anything like he was at Alabama, kid's a stud. And my last wide receiver, Jaden Reed in Green Bay. Rookie season, he had 94 targets, 64 receptions, 793 yards, 8 touchdowns. Jordan Love absolutely loves him. Steve says go get Jordan Love. If you get Jordan Love, stash Jaden Reed on your bench, and you might be able to use him more often than you're not in a flex position. And Christian Watson, who's a guy I was super high on, he can't stay healthy, so that's all the more reason to go get Jaden Reed, and he's not going to be touched till probably the 8th round.
All right. I had Jared Goff, quarterback. I actually have him in one of my keeper leagues. I will take him in the later rounds with no issues, no qualms. I didn't really have a running back to go to. I had more receivers. But if I'm going to go running back, I'm going to go Aaron Jones in Minnesota just because he's going to run the ball and he's going to get the touchdowns. Yep. He's their goal line guy. That's just off the top of my head. Wide receivers, if I had to choose one that was going to be later rounds, would be Jamison Williams. Like you said, I got him in the 10th round, I think, or the 11th round which I thought was an absolute steal. My other one that was a steal that went later was Xavier Worthy. You guys saw him in my draft. I got him in the later rounds. I think he's going to be good. Tight end, I didn't really have a tight end, but if I'm going to go a tight end right now, the later rounds, probably going to go Hayden Hurst in the Chargers.
I'm just happy you didn't say Hunter Henry.
Yeah. That's if we're talking about guys to stay away from, anyone on the Patriots. I mean, that's a fair assessment. Well, all right, guys. That's going to do it for us in the Boston Boys Sports. Guys, it was a great show. It's awesome to have you back, Stevie. Can't wait to do it again with you guys. And we're going to give Stevie the last word since it's his first time back in a little bit.
No, what do we have? Sunday Night Football. Patriots going to end off the preseason. Gerard Mayo said he's going to they're going to know who the quarterback is on Monday, but they may not announce it. Let's hope he just announces and get it over with so we can prepare for what we're going to have to deal with.
You couldn't have said that one better. Let's just know what we're walking into. All right, guys, we are partnered with Joe for Sports. We make sports better. Like I said at the beginning, check them out on all the platforms I already mentioned. They're great. They're putting out content. Obviously, follow us, like, subscribe. We are on X at Hub Boy Sports. Same thing on YouTube. Find us, watch us, keep subscribing, keep messaging, and give us more content to talk about. We'll talk about you on the show. Any questions, we'll ask it. Guys, fantastic show.
Always, guys.
See you, boys.
Take it easy, guys.
You too.